this morning. So thank you for joining me in this session. My name is Piet. I'm the CEO of Garvis. Before creating Garvis, I was part of a company called Terra Technology. We was the inventor of demand sensing. Was for the first time artificial intelligence was used to look outside of the organization and to see whether signals could be used to improve forecast accuracy. Results spectacular, but cost price millions only for the top organizations like a Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and even there it was not fully employed because it was black box. So planners don't like to know when they make decisions if they don't understand why these decisions are there and if they have all the information. And even more, because the role of the planners is not so much just to give a number, but then to go into what they call the sales and operation planning meeting and go and tell why they took that decision. And then they get big opposition from marketing or from sales, because they think, of course, this promotion that the last time did 20, now it's going to do 40 for whatever reason, because they say so. Normally my presentation would be behind me. Yes, here I am. So we want to create a new paradigm for insights-based planning. And this morning everybody has talked about it. The world is becoming a lot more complex, and I just don't want to repeat it, but just translate it a bit. Climate change means that people are going to use other packaging materials, other ingredients. Energy prices means that people not going to transport things as much, but maybe going to near source and going to make a composition in the materials. COVID has made that people don't work in offices anymore, but work. So like that, you have a lot of things, that have influenced the buyer. But on the other hand, you also have the buyer itself, who has the possibility now to buy through different channels. He can buy online, he can compare, he can know. So that has created a lot less predictability per channel, almost 15 to 20%. And if as an organization you want to keep the same service level, you have to make sure that you compensate it by stock or by resilience or agility, which costs money to do. On top of that, to find planners, I've talked this morning, I think already to 3 companies, where they said, yes, maybe we're going to do this, but our planner just left, and we're looking for somebody else. Maybe it's something So how is this problem solved in the past? In the past, and in most organizations, you go through there's an OP process, you clean the past, then you go and search your information, you go around and try to find what sales is going to do, what marketing is going to do, you add it, and then you all come together, you negotiate, and basically you come to an average. Because one say 80, the other say 120, and you arrive at 100. What Garvis wants to do is to translate the world based on insights, what's happening there, and give the planner control over AI to capture those insights and to translate the relationship between the ups and the downs in the demand, and then use ChatGPT or a large language model to give everybody without interface the capability to connect to it. And so some of you have seen it this morning. The process is that a peak is not just a peak. A peak is a reason to think, why does this peak happen? Had it to do with events, had it to do with customers, had it to do with something the competition did. But also I can influence the peaks. I can go to a new market, which goes up. I can create a new product, it goes up. Or I can stop promotion, the product goes down. So what Garvis is able to do is to look at all that information and to put it in the components of demand. This is your baseline. This is what you always sell. This is your seasonality. Think about fertilizers. You use it in the spring. You maybe use it in winter, not in summer. Or ice cream. You use it in summer. So certain peaks are driven by seasonality, but then other peaks are driven by promotion. Some products are growing. Others are distributing, and maybe we have other events. And then we translate it into a risk analysis, because maybe some products are on average 100, but if it's a medicine, you want to make sure that you capture every tender, because there are sick people behind it. You want to make sure you capture that. Or if you're selling vegetables, and then you want to make sure you don't over forecast, because then maybe if you over forecast, some of it just goes bad, and that you don't want either. So how do we going to use natural language? We're going to use natural language to make sure that the whole organization is able to understand what your planners at their different position have seen in the world and how it has affected your environment. So you can ask questions, where am I going to grow the most? So I just want to show it. I don't know whether you can play it. I played it shortly this morning to give some examples that a very complex planning environment where there are lots of algorithms, you can ask easy questions, where am I growing? What are the components of my growth? So now I ask, where am I growing? So most in a product, this is from our customer, Jacobs Douwe Egberts, is the growing Grandmère. Of course, the numbers are not real, but it's... But then you can also ask, if you're in marketing, what was the promotional uplift? And you can see then the different components of demand. So you can see, okay, part is seasonality, part is demand. And so that makes the conversation a lot easier. And also the advantage of digital information, it's not in the head of the planner, it is available everywhere where you want it. And even your CEO or your COO or your financial person can look forward into the future and see where are my trends. And sales can look in the beginning of the month, where do I still have to do more? And so I'll just give the last example. And then you can see the trend. And so, and maybe you want to see from another product, you can just ask the question. So what's the fundament of my story is that ChatGPT will change the world forever, the large language model. ChatGPT on itself, or another variation of it, is not intelligent. It's intelligent in the sense that it can relate a number of symbols to a number of symbols, being a sentence to a sentence, but it's going to be fed by information from systems around it, and it will allow to translate, and that's its function, things that in the silos you work in, production, distribution, logistics, that are very complex to understand, that it becomes easy for your neighbor to understand. So it's going to democratize planning in the sense that you always have the specialists, who work in their silo, but translating that to the other parts of the organization will be a lot more easy. Because there has always been the relationship between a good working organization is you need the people, and the people you need to train them. You may need to make sure they're a specialist in what they are, but you also need a process so that you understand each other and what your role is and what the exceptions are, and you need the technology. And what ChatGPT is going to do is bring those elements together. And what will it do? It will make that whenever happens in the world, the person most known with that change will be able to capture it and make it available and translate it in how it's what its risk is and what its impact is going to be on our organization at the moment it happens. And so not at the end of a meeting after you have one person knows, another person knows something else, but all the information at the same time, which will reduce the lag, will reduce the opportunity to react tremendously. And so the basis of this is demand planning, SaaS, demand planning. The essence of it is insight-based and insights that unite the different parts of the organization to the best possible decision at the moment it happens. And then you can say, of course, the best possible decision will help have less stock, and of course it's good also for the environment and everything that has to do with it. So people seem to like what we do. We're 2.5 years on the market, 1.5 years, and we have more than 70 customers. So thank you, and if there are any questions, please let me know.